My name is Sarah Bull. I am from the Stanford Museum and Nature Center in Stanford, obviously. And we are super excited because we are building an observatory and a planetarium as a new science center on site. So I'm going to go through who I am, why I'm interested in astronomy, because we're all here for the same reason, but most of us come from different backgrounds. Our old observatory, our new science center, and how we can best support your club. We really do want to support the astronomy clubs in the area. So I got interested in astronomy when I was very young, like most people. First time I looked up into the night sky and I realized I was looking into the past. It blew my mind. I think that's why I ended up getting a degree in philosophy and physics. Those things kind of blow my mind. Spent a lot of time as a youth in Philadelphia at the Franklin Institute planetarium there when we had the big ant-sized or ant-shaped star scope that would project the stars on the ceiling and you could kind of cover it with your hand. And didn't have an observatory. We had light pollution at that time. But home in the suburbs, I was able to actually get my small scope out and see things. I did all of my degrees in physics, primarily particle physics. I worked down in Manhattan at Memorial Sloan Kettering, and then Columbia, and I ended up in Stanford. Excuse me. I ended up running the physics department at Stanford. I've always been interested in astronomy, and that's what had me become a board member at the Stanford Museum of Nature. So anybody who doesn't know the Stanford Museum of Nature Center, it's a very interesting place. We have animals. We'll zip through the first two slides, just what we're going to cover tonight, who I am. So my training is in physics, primarily particle and nuclear. I've worked with accelerators, radioactive implants, radioactive isotopes, generators, things like that. And we're on to the Stanford Museum and Nature Center, my favorite topic. So we have, at the Nature Center, we have lots of different things. We have the Bendel Mansion, which is kind of our art hub. We have different art shows every couple of months. We have different groups that come through there. We also have otters and other animals, ducks and geese that are wandering around. We have nature paths. We have loads of things for kids to do, as well as a reptile house, which if anybody's bones get cold in the winter, I highly recommend coming and hanging out in. It's so nice and warm. At Stanford Museum and Nature Center, our primary director is Melissa. She's been there for 20 years, and the Astronomy and Science Center is she has been growing our presence for the last 20 years, and she's done an amazing job. Our new president of the board is Douglas York. He is also the CEO of Bronxville Hospital, so he's got a lot of experience. So this is astronomy at the Stanford Museum and Nature Center through the years. We were created in 1936, so about 90 years ago. And in 1948, we got the original Spitz planetarium. And we put it up in the mansion. We projected it on the ceilings, and we still have it. It's like the most amazing thing to actually physically see, and it gets very hot. In 1960, we built a brand new observatory with a 22-inch scope. In 22, that's when we took that observatory down. We'd had a lot of leaks in the dome, as well as the fact that with the light pollution from New York and from Stanford, it's really getting hard to see things with that scope. In 2024, late 2024, we started construction of our new center, and we're hoping June of this year to have the whole thing complete. I was just on site and I have some pictures from that in here, and the windows have gone in, which I always feel like is a good sign because then you can actually finish the interior. Does anybody in here or online know John Briggs?
Yes, indeed. Know him quite well.
Yeah.
I'm glad
Yeah, okay.
the Lyceum got that 22-inch Mac.
That's it. That's it. So John actually saw his first telescope at the Stanford Museum and Nature Center when he was in elementary school. He came we do
No.
33,000 students a year, which is a lot for any place. And he was one of those students one year. He came in, he fell in love, and it's actually our old scope is going to him in New Mexico. He's got, I don't know if anyone's seen it, but he's got an amazing setup out there. He's got lots of antique scopes, and I think he said he has 90 acres or 110 acres, and he's able to put the scopes out in the desert, and it's dark sky country. So it doesn't matter how old the scope is, if you can still see through it, it works out there. So our new astronomy center, the image in the upper right corner there is an architect's rendering of what it's going to look like. It's going to be 11,000 square feet. And it's the first time that we've had both a planetarium and an observatory in the same building. We're going to have a 100-seat planetarium, 40-foot dome, and the seats are removable. I know there's lots of discussion about, the angle of the dome and what kind of seats you have. Our theory is, because we're a community center and not a research area, that we want to be able to use it for events and to kind of bring the community into astronomy and get them excited about it. Okay, so here is our architect's video rendering of the facility. Let's see if this works. And John, please let me know if you can see this online.
Will do.
Ooh. And
Stamford Museum and Nature Center, where something extraordinary is taking shape.
Perfect.
The Astronomy Center will open in the summer of 2025. We invite corporations, individuals, and families to invest in our success. Your support is crucial to achieving our goal. In October of 2023, after dismantling the old observatory, we broke ground on our new center with our eyes set on the sky. The Astronomy Center brings our planetarium and observatory programs together under one roof for the first time in our 90-year history. Come, let us show you around. Visitors will enter through the admission gate at the Knobloch Family Farmhouse, where they can meet friends and classmates at the landing. Together, they will follow a universally accessible nature path leading to the Overlook and Entry Plaza. Guests will be welcomed into the lobby, where they can enjoy time in our exploration center or take in the view of Heckscher Farm from the covered outdoors. Underneath a 40-foot dome, our 100-seat planetarium will be a dynamic, multifunctional space offering a variety of shows and experiences. Amateur and experienced astronomers alike will look at the sky through solar and lunar telescopes from our third-floor observatory deck with a rollback. Astronomy Center will be the premier destination for astronomy and science education, the greatest complement and supplement to our schools. Its completion will propel the Stamford Museum and Nature Center for becoming the largest environmental education and science-based resource in the region. Now is the time. Make history.
so, right, that's obviously the architect's vision of what we're going to be in the future. Most amazing thing to me, because I know nothing about construction or any of this kind of stuff, is that the way they have rendered the building, actually what it's like. This is a picture I took last week, and this is as far as we've gotten. You can see most of the windows are in, not the big one on the side there, or the front entrance. This shows you, and I'm going to zip through these. Please feel free to stop me at any point if you have questions or comments. Again, space is yet. So there's something that you see that makes you go, just give me a heads up on it. This is our lobby. On the right side of the lobby, there's partition panels that open from the planetarium to the lobby. We've been given a guarantee that those can be made to be lights. Not sure how they're going to do this, but they say they're movable, and when they go back together, we won't have any light leakage over the planetarium. So fingers crossed. This is an overview of our first floor. The classroom on the left, that into a waiting room for the planetarium as well as a classroom. So we're going to have 3 classrooms on site that we can use at any given time. With the evening programming, probably end up using that area for people hanging out and waiting, especially if the weather is bad. We also have a catering pantry and a bunch of offices on the first floor. And this is our 40-foot planetarium. This is what the rendering was. Those are the seats we're going to have. And I'm sorry, here is the rendering. Here is the actual picture from last week. We're getting there. We're actually installing the speakers under the planetarium dome itself. That's going to be the first thing going in this week. And then hopefully they'll stretch the dome over top of that. I don't know how you access it though. So here is our classroom on the first floor. Lots and lots and lots of windows. This is the rendering. And then these are the actual pictures I took last week. So the ceiling on the left echoes the other architecture that we have. So that as you go from building to building, it kind of feels very cohesive. And they did just get that window in, which is great. It'll be nice and bright. Hopefully not into the planetarium. So here is our second floor and our third floor. So it's the top of the planetarium. And we also have a second floor classroom in the back. On the third floor, we've got our observing room, which is kind of in the front corner there, as well as a warming room. So we have it completely insulated. The rolling roof that you saw in the video has been installed and it's working. It was a little questionable there for a while. It's working and it's weatherproof, but we can change the temperature there to be outside temperature at all times so that whatever scopes we have mounted there, they'll be fine. This is one of our classrooms. And this is the observatory and our warming room or our tech room. So in the picture, it just shows a regular tripod mount. What we've actually chosen to do, we're surrounded by trees at the Stamford Museum and Nature Center, which is wonderful. It's great for kind of blocking out the street light. It's great for blocking out the neighbor's light. But as you all well know, being in the middle of a field is much better for observing versus being in front of a bunch of trees. So we installed a mount, and I was on site when they put the mount into the ground, so I saw how nice and deep it was. We have an adjustable mount. So it will actually lift our scopes up for us remotely. Again, this is their rendering, and this is our mount. So on the left side is the first floor. On the right in the middle is the second floor, and there with a little cone on the top is our base plate that's been installed in it. On the full right-hand side there, that's our rolling roof. And again, knock wood, it's weather tight at the moment. So for scopes, a group like this is the most important thing, right? We have decided to go primarily solar. Again, with the light pollution of New York City and the light pollution of Stamford, having a solar scope on site, especially with the kiddos involved, it really makes a lot of sense. But we're going to do a triple mount. So we're going to have 2 scopes and the solar scope all together so that they can be raised up together. It's going to be a polar mount, so they should be able to be aligned together. And we're going to have the software, the remote software accessible so that once we get it into position, the kids can be inside or the observers can be inside. We also, yeah, go for it. Oh, that's a great question. I know that we had to get a whole bunch of filters for it.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. The question is, how does the solar scope work? John, do you want to take that one?
Sure. The solar scope works by protecting the viewer from the harmful sun's rays. That can be done in several different ways, just by putting a mylar film that allows the sun's light to come through so you can see the sunspots on the surface, but not the harmful UV rays. The one that's pictured at the top is a hydrogen alpha telescope and allows you to see views like the ones in the middle, both sides, the chromosphere and the photosphere, so you can see the solar rays as well as the surface that's boiling and roiling away. But that requires more extensive filtering and blocking filters, as well as an energy rejection filter to get the etalons to behave without causing eye damage. Was that too fast and too much, or is that okay?
That worked great for us, John. Thank you.
Thank you.
Exactly. Yes. And the image in the middle is actually one of the images from the solar scope at Big Bear. When I was an undergrad out in California, that they had a solar scope up at Big Bear. That's where that image is from. So on the observation deck, we are going to invite the public for different stargazing parties to bring their own scopes. And knock wood, we'll have folks on site to help with setup, because as I'm sure you all know, whenever a kid gets a new scope, it's kind of, you want to make it as easy as possible for them, as accessible as possible to them, so that they can get interested. Obviously, we're going to have red light for night viewing. Our hope and our dream, and this is kind of where all of you come into play, given that there are only a few amateur astronomy clubs in the area. Our hope and dream is to have programs for all kinds of stargazers. I mean, we have a very large property. Again, there is light pollution given our setting, but we're hoping to mix our observatory and our planetarium viewing together. So we're going to have live streaming events, either from our own scopes or from around the world, depending on what's happening. We're going to have regular dome shows, just like you see at most planetariums. We're going to have real-time sky shows. Our hope with this is that students who are interested in astronomy will actually get to see things from scopes around the world being live streamed. So if something is happening in Australia and they're there for a school trip, they'll actually get to see a live stream of what Australia is seeing. We're going to do live feeds, which is very common these days. And for the teenagers, we're going to be doing laser shows. So the big question for you all is, how can we best partner with you? We've never had an observatory and a planetarium under the same roof. How can we best support your club? What kinds of events are you interested in? And I leave it up to you guys from there. Oh,
Sarah?
hold on, let me get you back to Zoom. Hey, John.
I did invite 2 other clubs that are closer to you. I don't know if any of them are here, but I certainly will share the recording with them. I invited the Westport Astronomical Society, several of the officers and board members, and the Thames Amateur Astronomical Society, which is based out of the New London Mystic area.
That's wonderful. And we have been in contact with the Westchester Amateur Astronomers Club too. And they have an Ursa Minor group, which is for students 16 and under. So we're hoping to be able to partner with them and do a few fun things, you know, some young adult evenings with them.
Excellent.
Great.
Asking the participants, because there was a couple of screen names I don't recognize. Is there anyone here from Westport or Thames? Taz? I don't know who MFS or DAMMO is. The rest of them are our club members, and I recognize them.
Okay. Yay. All right, Chris.
John, can you check the chat?
I have. There's no one chatting except me about the volume.
Oh, okay. All right.
And somebody already left.
Okay.
There.
Well, I mean, I think this is a lot to absorb. I mean, it sounds like a fantastic facility. certainly better than what we have, our area. There is at least a beginning, very early stage beginning plan on paper to build a planetarium in the Hartford area to replace one that used to be here, the Jengris Planetarium
West Hartford.
in West Hartford,
Yeah.
but that's years away at this point still.
Mm.
So, the kind of facility you're talking about, I think is sorely needed,
Good.
which would be great.
That's wonderful. And hopefully that will bring some young members into your
Yeah.
groups also.
Yeah.
We have some young members too, but that'd be even better. Can you remind me of what your opening and completion dates are, or are there phases to it, or all in one?
Absolutely. So we started construction last year, and as of last week, we have the windows in. And knock wood, we're hoping construction is done in June of this year.
Wow.
Will that be observatory, planetarium, and museum all together?
Everything all together.
Good deal.
Yep. Yep. I'm not sure
I'm,
about the parking lot, but other than that, the walkway should be in.
I'm assuming you'll send a note to Chris so he can let us all know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, we're going to have a lot of opening nights and a lot of events over the summer, and obviously in August
Mm.
with the meteors.
Oh, yeah.
The weather is always the worst factor about opening up
Yeah.
this
John, hold on.
Yeah.
We got a question here.
go ahead.
The question is, what kind of uses do we see for the classroom? We're actually, given how many school groups we have touring through, our theory is that on the first floor in particular, that classroom is going to be used on a regular basis. I've been working with Rick and Bob over at Sacred Heart at the observatory over there.
Mm.
And because they've kind of had a dip, I mean, they have a school literally on site, right? And they've had a dip in their interest in astronomy in the last 2 or 3 years. But they're thinking that if we can kind of partner together a little bit, the second and the third floor classroom will be used primarily for high school groups. So, small research groups, kids who can come in and maybe do some data analysis, or, think of different ways of looking at something and then come up with a project together. That's kind of how we see the upper classrooms working. But they are set up with laptop benches. So we could use it for environmental sciences also. The nice thing about the Stamford Museum Nature Center, I have parts of the science equation.
The observing platform, or however, whatever you call that, how would you see that working? If a number of us wanted to bring our own equipment
Right.
and do observing, and invite the public to observe with us. How would that work? Is that something we would have to arrange? Well, obviously arrange with your facility ahead of time. Would advertising have to happen for that, or how would that work? I guess is my
That's
question.
a great question, Chris. Our view right now is once we bring in a director for the astronomy and the science center, that's probably going to be your point person. The observing deck itself, while bigger than our previous dome, just for standing room, because our old scope was so big, it took up so much room. It's still not a large area. Once we get the mount in there, we'll have to see how many people we can comfortably fit up there. I would say it's probably 10 at a time. And then if we have more scopes there, it's going to be less.
Sure.
But we do have a flat observation deck. And I think that's really going to be our primary area for when you bring your own scopes. And then will also have access to the observation deck. Using that adjustable mount is really that's gonna be primary up there. Getting over
Yeah.
that tree line is gonna be huge.
Okay,
Yeah, which obviously we can't do with our tripods
yeah.
very
Yeah.
well.
What's, do you know what's gonna be mounted on top of the adjustable, here? No?
So we're hoping for that Celestron scope.
11.
Yeah.
Oh, the C11, okay.
Yep.
Yes, and there are two others on the wish list, and the wish list has been approved, but I'm loath to say it out loud because I haven't seen them yet.
Okay,
But we had a very great science committee,
yeah.
and we argued with each other constantly about what types of scopes to put in there.
Hmm.
Obviously, we're doing the solar and probably two small lunar/planetary scopes that we can use on a
Yeah.
regular basis.
Yeah, I noticed you kind of went over it real quick, but in case you got a really nice, smart scope planned also.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And I
EV
figure with the
scope too.
kids, yeah, the
Yeah.
smart scope is probably,
Yeah,
it's probably going to be the way to go.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
they can run it from their iPads and
Yeah.
they'll be
Yeah.
running circles around us.
yeah.
Especially if you can project
So
it on
that's
a big screen.
That's a whole new world, whole
Exactly.
new world to introduce people to.
I have a
Then they can
logistical
add-
question.
Oh, sure.
From the, just say from the floor, rather than, the top of the eyepiece. What's the height different? What's the elevation between the floor and the wall of the sliding roof that's open? How many inches or
That
feet?
that is an interesting question. So it is feet. And I know that our adjustable mount can pull us, I believe it was 7.5 feet above the rolling roof.
Oh,
Oh, so the entire floor lifts up?
The entire mount lifts up. So we're going
Okay,
to have a triple mount. We're going to have all three scopes on
jeez.
one mount, and the
Wow.
entire once we get it aligned, the entire mount can lift up above the roof line.
so how do people go through to the eyepiece?
That's a good,
Right. Well, yes. So if we're looking at something straight up, it's not an issue. It's when we want to see something near the horizon, and then I think we'll be shifting more into projecting it into the hot room and then down into the planetarium.
All right, so 7.5 feet up in the air, no one is actually looking through a telescope. It has to be done with a video projector of some type.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
You got it.
I think that counts us out.
Well, we can see some things from the observation deck. It's just for those things on the horizon that we want
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah.
We needed to have the ability to do that.
So
okay.
besides the three platforms that raise up scopes, there's room on the observing floor to look straight up like a transit scope.
Exactly. Yes, you got it.
All right, so, all right, let's just say 4 feet off the floor for the eyepiece, maybe 5. How
Yeah,
far
that sounds
above
right.
the eyepiece at say 5 feet is the wall of the planetarium?
John, I don't know the answer
Observatory.
to that.
Pardon
I
me?
am gonna have to go measure that. I will email you tomorrow.
Okay, it's just,
Yeah, now that the interesting with the drywall. Yeah.
yeah, all right. The ISS is going over tonight. Oh, it's going straight up overhead. Okay, it's gone.
Zoom.
I'm just trying to think logistics and something practical because I, otherwise I don't see how much we could help.
It is. It is. We just have a tree line towards
Yeah.
How about
towards the
outside? Is there a safe place with a walled off area? Say a
there
4 foot,
is.
5 foot wall where scopes people could come through with red lights only,
Yes.
no car
Yes,
headlights,
yes.
light pollution, yes, but
Exactly. Yep. Can you see that, John? Can you
yes,
see
ma'am.
the
Yes.
okay, Great. So this
Oh, look at that.
observing deck that we have here,
Oh, yeah.
and the beauty of having the trees kind of go around in a U shape, so they block all the road lights,
Hmm.
and it's a very slow road right there anyway, which is great. And it's on a hilltop, so you can see north and east primarily from that deck.
So you're talking about the open deck or something else?
Down on the ground.
Oh, okay. So I can see your cursor now.
Okay, good.
Is that a
the deck
flat
here,
area or slope?
yes, and that's just a pull-up zone in case you need to get dropped off.
Are those big black stones real or just for?
They are going to be real. It's Connecticut, and boy, do we have a lot of stones left
Yeah,
over.
sure. I just
Huh.
some type of red downward lighting so people don't stub their toes, and if they're observing and they're in the dark, they'll be dark adapted and not see them.
Exactly right. Yes, we have all dark sky lighting,
Okay.
and we have red lighting installed that we can flip to for the
Oh,
outside.
perfect.
And the neighbors are on board. Thank goodness one of our neighbors is the children's school. So
cool.
they're all in on the nighttime lighting.
The-
But we have a question here, John.
The red floor, the observing area. Do you get there with an elevator?
We have both an elevator and stairs.
What was the question?
Absolutely. Yes, it's the silo is actually the elevator.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, John, you were saying?
What was the question?
Oh, sorry. The question was the red light area. How is the observation deck accessible? Does
Oh.
it have an elevator access?
Yes.
And it
Yeah,
does.
I saw the elevator in the presentation.
You got it.
I have a question.
Yes.
On the ground level observation area, do you have any provision to provide electricity if folks set up scopes there that they could power them?
Great question, Robin.
That is an amazing question. So we have, and I'm going to have to count it. I'll email it to Chris. I think we have 7 quads out there.
Oh,
But they if you can see my cursor, they kind of wrap from the side of the classroom and around to this back door right here. So we do, that's a good point. We should probably have extension cords on site too.
Yeah, let me give you another logistical question, my friend.
Go for it.
You've got 4 quads out there of receptacles. You've just created tripping hazards for those with those cords. So
yes, you are
somehow they're going to
absolutely
need
right.
to have some recessed plugs in the ground or ability to hide cords and channels of some way.
Yes, and we do have channels in the, I don't know what they're called, the blocks on the grid? Belgian blocks. I'm not sure what these guys are, but you know what? Let me talk to the contractor this week. I made sure that we had the quads, but you're right. I didn't think about the extension cords pulling out into the main area in front of the door.
We can always have them no public access area, but just something to putting into your planning.
I love that idea. Yep, because we have different access points around the building, so we could just use a different access point. I like that. That's good. You guys are great.
Great question, Robin. Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations. It's a well thought out facility. Very impressive.
Oh.
Yeah, really is.
Good. Good.
And Robin's a solar imager too.
Yay.
Yeah.
Well, a little.
Huh.
We would love to have you come down and check things out. The more the merrier.
Can you talk a little bit about, the rest of the area,
Oh, sure. The
Let's-
facility itself?
Yeah.
You got it. Let's see. I'm trying to think of where I've got an overview of the campus.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to be detailed. I mean, what else is there?
Yeah. Oh, yes, you're right. There's the elevator. So the campus itself, I think back in the beginning,
Just so, if I bring my wife there, I gotta have something for her to do.
100%. We will keep her busy.
Oh, no,
Oh, yeah, you can't see much here.
Found the
She's,
men's room already.
oh, I
I'm
know.
set.
She's very understanding, but
Let's
she's gonna want
see.
to hike or something.
Oh, well, we did. Oh, that's actually that image right here.
What?
Let's see if we can go back to it.
Yeah.
So you can kind of see it in this image here. This is
Uh-oh.
our whole campus.
We've lost it.
Oh, you don't see it?
No, all we see is that Vimeo screen again.
Oh, yes, that's it. In the background of it,
Oh,
can
I
you
see.
see the
Very
kind of
washed out.
the
Yeah.
watermarked
Yeah.
area? There's the pond right there.
Okay.
So we have hiking trails all through the woods,
Okay.
and they go all the way up to the Bartlett Arboretum, and they
Mm-hmm.
connect to the trails there. So she can literally, it's probably, last time I did a hike there, I was able to get in 12 miles
Oh,
by doing
oh my.
both campuses fully.
Okay.
Sorry? We have 2 trails that are handicap accessible,
Oh,
and the
nice.
rest of the facility down in here where the barns are, those are all wheelchair accessible and handicap accessible.
Oh,
Yep.
Great.
Actually, let's see how far back. Felt like I had a bigger. There's John again.
I'm having a hard time picturing Obi-Wan Kenobi as a young child with that beard.
Yeah, and I could not find any pictures of him as a
Oh,
kid, and
that's a
I emailed him again and said, "Hey, do you have any pictures from when you were a kid there?"
I've
He
known
does not.
John
It
for
was
20 years.
Oh, that's amazing. He's a
He's
great
spoken
guy.
to our club a couple of times, actually.
Oh,
Yeah. So this is our campus right here.
okay.
And right through the woods here is where you connect to the Bartlett Arboretum.
Okay.
So then there's a whole nother campus setting of trails.
Jeez.
And we
Oh,
have
we-
the Bendel Mansion, which has artwork and a warm place, which is also nice.
Hmm.
We have a pavilion down here by the pond. We have all the animals in the middle here and the otters, which I don't know about anybody else, but I could watch otters for like 8 hours a day. They're hysterical. Oh, and we have our nature center
Mhm.
also right near the playground.
We should have a club field trip.
Yeah, we should.
Definitely. That would be amazing.
Wow.
Excellent. Well, my email is on here and Chris knows how to get a hold of me.
Yep.
So feel free to reach out at any time if you have thoughts, ideas, whatever works for your club.
Is that
Please.
bull up there because of your name?
We have 3 bulls on campus,
Oh.
so.
That's one of the otters, Chris. I know you don't get out much.
Yep. And that's my daughter right there,
Oh.
dancing during COVID.
Any
Oh, jeez.
any few further questions from the room or online? I've got nothing in the chat.
No,
Yeah.
nothing
We're
here,
good.
John.
Thank you so much,
Excellent.
Sarah.
Oh, anytime. And feel free to reach out. You know where we are. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, indeed. Applause.
Yeah, that was terrific.